Hi, 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 hi. Ooh, that jerk Damien broke up with me this weekend, and I needed revenge. I thought, wouldn't it just be a little silly and like a little fun to just get him in a little bit of trouble? So I pulled the fire alarm, and I was gonna blame it on him, but Stephanie caught me. So real in the dark. Hey Hodies, welcome to my channel. My name is hautemesstom, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am so excited for today's video because today's video is a collaboration with Stephanie, aka the Style Stumbler here on YouTube. I'm gonna oosh and goosh and love on Stephanie here in a moment, but before we do, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My channel is about loving my makeup collection as it currently is. So in today's video, it's a very good example of what I typically do. It's basically try to look at my makeup and make it exciting for me on a more regular basis. So while I do sometimes bring in new things or like bring in new things to review, mostly I would want to love my makeup collection as it currently is, so just to kind of encourage both you and myself to really just focus on what we have, because many of us have plenty when it comes to makeup. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video before you leave it, and I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. Today, I'm going to become a Breakfast Club member. If you're not familiar, there's a movie called The Breakfast Club. I think it's from the 80s. I saw it one time and actually I didn't really like it, but me and Stephanie are going to Saturday detention. I have some things in front of me. I think I have a vision of the kind of high school person I would like to be and the makeup that I would like to do to become that person. But I am so thrilled to tell you about Stephanie. If you do not already know about Stephanie, are you in for a treat? I'm not lying when I tell you that Stephanie is absolutely one of my favorite YouTubers, bar none. She is unbelievably talented. She's like so talented. For someone at the size of channel that she is, quality of her videos, I'm talking footage, editing, music, concept, how to make some, something like panning exciting to watch. She's doing it. I love that. And also, she's on a year-long no-buy, but we are heading toward the end of the year-long no-buy. So I'm really excited to see what she does next in the new year. I'm assuming that it's not going to be like all of a sudden that Stephanie is buying everything. Maybe she will continue no-buying. I don't know, but I'm excited to see where the journey takes us. I think that Stephanie is one of the most underrated people on this platform. Like, she deserves all of the flowers, and I hope that you will go check out her video when you're done here, and also check out all of her other videos because they're really, really good. When I say her quality of video is so good, like, I'm like jealous. I'm like, her videos look and sound so good. In fact, one of the first things I think I ever said to Stephanie, like in a DM on Instagram, was like, your sound quality is just asinine. It's like so good. It's so good. Not only that, she's a talented singer, and all of the music that appears in her videos, all the music that you hear in her videos is music that she has produced. I'm fairly certain. I think if I read her description box right, that's what happens. Also, she's a touring musician, so sometimes she disappears for a few months at a time. But that's okay. That's okay, because when Stephanie comes back, she's like, hello. I have not disappeared forever. There's nothing more exciting than like an old friend leaving for a little bit and then coming back, and you're like, oh my God, I've missed you so much. And that's how I always feel when Stephanie disappears for a bit and comes back. So at the end of this video, in my, the end credits, I will put Stephanie's video, and obviously in my description box at the very top, Stephanie's channel and video will be there. And I think that you need to run, not walk, to subscribe to Stephanie. Okay, I think I've ushed and I think I've gushed enough. Let's get into the concept of the video. So this is kind of gonna be like one of my becoming videos if you've ever seen one of those. So there's gonna be a fashion element to it. It's not gonna be as fashion heavy as the Hannah Louise Poston fashion collab that I did. I'm gonna do like essentially like, I'll give you like a head to toe of a look. I might do better footage than I usually do for a becoming video. I'm not. But I want to start with the makeup, and so we are here at my vanity. So when I think of high school, what's the envisionment of the person I would have liked to have been in high school? And like, I really wanted to be goth. I did like a soft goth look not that long ago, and I didn't call it that, but then a lot of people in the comments were like, this is a really cool take on like a light goth makeup. So I think I'm gonna do something very similar to that. I'm gonna try to keep in mind some of the makeup faux pas that I remember people in high school committing, but we didn't know any better at the time. It was also like the 2000s. And so like the quality of makeup available to us, especially if everyone's buying drugstore, wasn't the best. So we're going to try to do like elevated that. That's the plan that's what we're doing. I'm gonna start with my eyes, and I wanna do like black eyeliner, black all around, because we're going goth. So I'm gonna be using this from Ritual Defeat. It is the Black Orb. It's funny because I like tried decluttering this once, and I did pull it out of the declutter box. But I had a good reason for it because I was looking for a black eyeliner, and I just like didn't have like a black eyeliner. And what's nice about this is I don't think it's like a perfect product, which that sounds like a really weird thing to like say. I think it's one of those products that's like really good for photos and really effective in photos, but it's like not something that you get the best longevity out of. I think that creasy crustiness really lends itself to a high schooler doing their makeup in the 2000s, perhaps even like thinking about the 80s. That's why I've chosen it, because I do kind of want it to be imperfect on the eyes. So I am just going to do a shape kind of similar to the one in my video on Monday where I was wearing the Trixie jacket. So I'm hoping to achieve a similar eye shape. I'm gonna relax my eye and start it out here and just kind of blend it over here. There was a lot of sparkles on this brush, which I do kind of regret. I thought I wiped them off, but I did not do a very good job. Also I think I have remnant sparkles even in the eyeliner, so it might not even just be the brush's fault. Could just be my like general messiness. Were you a good student? Did you ever get Saturday detention? If you did get Saturday detention, what did you get it for? I never got detention. I think I've mentioned this in other videos before, but like I was very much a goody two-shoes. And I think I was a goody two-shoes because my parents weren't very strict. You know, they were the kind of parents who were like, if you find yourself in trouble, call us, no questions asked. Obviously, there would be like ramifications if you needed to like utilize that. So I was given like the kind of grace and space to make mistakes, but never really bothered utilizing it. So like I wasn't like doing drugs in high school. I wasn't doing anything bad. I was like doing my homework. Well, I wasn't the best student. My brother was like a more committed student than I would say I was. But like I turned in my assignments. Like the school wasn't calling home to like say that I was in trouble, except for the one time, but we won't talk about that here. It wasn't that bad, but it's just one of those things where it's like really hard to explain the context because MySpace was involved. MySpace was like part of the reasoning that what happened. And like how gauche and embarrassing in 2022 to be like, and yeah, you know, one time I got in trouble because of MySpace. Who knew that I would be such a trendsetter? Because I'm sure a bunch of kids get like in trouble all the time now for social media stuff. I mean, I bet. I mean, I don't know. If you're a school teacher, let me know. Does social media play like a big role in like the drama that goes on in the school? Also, if you're a school teacher, whenever like drama's going down and like when kids break up and stuff, I mean, like I know you have to like have like compassion, sympathy, and empathy in those moments, like professionally, but like personally, are you ever just like living for the tea? Because I think that's what I would do. I could never be a teacher because, well, one, I think we've kind of established that I'm not really a kid person as it is. So it's like, I don't like little kids, and then I'm scared of teenagers. So it's like kind of all moot for me. Like none of it's good. I can't really be around any person who is like younger than 25 because I just panic. I was a pretty good kid. I think I did much better in high school than I did like in elementary school and middle school. But I feel like I was just kind of told that I should take high school more seriously. And so I was just like, all right, whatever. And you know, like I didn't really do good on the SATs or the ACTs. I got like, for those of you, I mean, I'm sure like, I don't want to assume this, but like, I know a lot of you are also international people, but like those are standardized tests to get into college. And so I'm not trying to say that you don't know this, but I'm also just trying to like perhaps fill the gaps. And so there's like 2 different tests that you can take. It also depends on like where in the country you're going. For some reason, the Midwest really likes the ACTs, but like the East Coast really uses the SATs. Most of the kids that I went to school with, I think we like all took both. We all like just did both of them. At least I did. I feel like that's like also in high school. I'm going to be using also the Mothership one from Pat McGrath. I'm really going to be sticking to the matte here and then also this matte here to like blend out the edges to make it look a little less aggro. And I might throw a sparkle on top, but I haven't decided what sparkle I want to, and it might not even come from there. So I'm undecided on that, but I'm just going to pack some black eyeshadow on top of the eyeshadow that we just laid down. On my ACTs, here's a weird thing also. The SATs are only English and math. It's like literature comprehension and math and like grammar. And the ACTs also include science and I think history. I really don't remember. I didn't do good on the ACTs. I got a 23. I also think I took it twice and I did it worse the second time. One of those situations. I took the SATs twice. I don't know what I got the first time, but I think I got 1100 the first time and then I got a 1200 the second time, which is like fine. It's neither stupid nor intelligent. It's just kind of like, you took on some of the stuff that you were supposed to whenever you were in high school, so I guess. But the ACTs, I'm not a science person. Like, I think STEM is very important. Let me go ahead and say that before we get into the rest of this conversation. I do think STEM is like very important, and I really want people to be working in STEM. Okay, I'm just not trying to belittle anyone who is in STEM, but it's not for me. There's something interesting. I'm really good at math, so I guess that is STEM, but like science isn't for me. And I don't know what the disconnect is, because I'm like very well aware that like math and science are like, you know, friends. They kind of go hand in hand sometimes. And I still am like, I don't know what's happening. I can't possibly know what's happening, because literally what is going on? That's how I feel about whenever science. So the science portion of the ACTs, I think I tried to answer 13 questions, and I like really didn't know the answers to any of them. And so what happened was I put my pencil down, I like closed the book, and I just started gently weeping to myself. Oh boy, because I was like, I'm not doing good. And that stressed me out, because like there is that point in your life where like if you are just kind of like academically gifted enough to like not have to study ever in high school and like still be able to pass and do well, there comes like a moment, I think, in every person like that's life, where you find your first hardship and you're like, I can't really BS my way through this. And I feel like the ACTs were that for me. I like cried and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I did really bad. I don't really know what a good score on the ACTs was. I just was told kind of many times that I had kind of a laughable score. And it's okay to laugh at it. We can laugh. I'm cleaning this up because this side kind of like went way higher than the other side. And so I'm just like course correcting before we move forward. And I also feel like this needs just like cleaned up a little bit. So I never really got in trouble in school. I do remember in elementary school, like the one I went to, we had like a yellow slip system, I think was what it was called. And like if you had so many yellow slips, you ended up like getting detention. I got one of those, over the entire tenure of my elementary school career. And I cried so hard. And you know what? It's one of those things. If you're a teacher, let me know. If you're a parent, let me know. Where like a child is crying around you and you're like, oh my God. I couldn't comprehend how not a big deal it was to get one of those. Like now I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Especially because it would likely never happen again, because I was like a pretty good student. I also was like a shy student in elementary school. I think that was kind of feedback I got on all of my report cards, was like, Tom's really quiet and we would like for them to participate more. And I was like, no. But it was like, the thing was that the teachers knew that I was smart because I was like doing the work. But like, I don't understand why there's all this pressure to be participatory if you're like gaining the knowledge that is expected of you. Like, I don't know why I have to engage in like group projects or whatever, because it's like, if I'm comprehending this on my own, it's not my job to teach the other kids, to be quite honest with you. You know, and I feel like that's what happens in college too, is like put in these group situations and it's like, oh yeah, it's like teach each other. That's not why I'm paying, you know, $50,000 a year for, is to like learn from my peers, which is like, peer-to-peer learning I don't think is bad, but it's like when you're paying for education, that is bad, because it's like, I'm not paying for that. That's not what I asked for. This isn't what I wanted. Anyway, I have lots of feelings about the higher education system. I don't know that I'll ever like fully reveal that to you, but just know that I'm anti higher education. I'm not anti-education in general, but I just think that college is just an MLM and like other people trick you into going, and then it's like not really fruitful for everyone. And I'm not trying to discount anyone who had like an amazing experience in college, but all I'm saying is that like, it's not required, you know? I've never once used my college degree in any of the jobs I have. I am swiping this blue on top because I thought it's like the least shimmery of all the shimmers in there. And I just want to give it a little bit of something instead of just being like completely black. And I'm also using a really fluffy brush as to not pick up so much of the product. I'm gonna forego inner corner highlighting of my eyes because I don't think that's something that I would have done in high school. And like, you know, something about the goth look is like pretty closed off around the eyes. So I'm just gonna skip that. On my eyes, I am gonna line them with black coffee from Pat McGrath. Right now, I don't have like a pure black gel liner, and this is the closest I have. The collaboration came around. Well, I reached out because I knew I wanted to collaborate with Stephanie, and I was like, we kind of came up with some ideas, and I came up with, what if we became not like characters in a movie? Like the only example I could really come up with whenever I was like pitching my idea and this was like my idea, we put ourselves in the Wizard of Oz. Not like we become Dorothy, or not like we become one of the characters, but like we become like, it's like if we lived in the world in which the Wizard of Oz existed, right? What would we look like in there? I was like, I don't know if you have a better movie suggestion. And then she said The Breakfast Club, and I said, perfect. Now that I have the moth dress, I guess I could have something to dress for Oz, but at the time I pitched the idea, I did not own the moth dress. We're gonna move on to skin. When I think of like goth, alternative, kids in high school, full coverage matte comes to mind. So we're gonna do full coverage, healthy looking skin. So we're gonna do some layering of products. I don't know if you've seen my reel or short, but like we are almost done with this. I did buy a replacement. I bought the jumbo size. So they make one that's like twice the size of this. And I was like, I will eventually end up using it. And as you may or may not know, this is my favorite primer to test new foundations with, just because of qualities of it. It's gonna give us a nice, healthy looking base. There's still some in there. I think I could get, I'm probably gonna scrape one more use out of there and then call it. But like, that's another pan. And you know what? I don't think that like last year at this time, I could have predicted that I would be like panning some stuff. But it's like really cool to see, right? It means that I really did kind of commit to more using of my stuff. Oh my God. I had some black on my finger that I didn't wipe off, and it sure got itself all over my face. Let's reflect on some other school things. What was your favorite high school meal? Like if you ever like bought high school. I'm assuming that like most of you had like a public education. So my first thing that I would like to ask and reflect upon is, did you ever have bagged milk as a child? Now, I know that bagged milk is like still kind of a thing in Canada. Like you can get milk in a bag and then you have like a device that you put the bag. I'm talking about like whenever I was in elementary school, there were like these square pouches of milk. And so when you were in kindergarten, we only had milk time because I was in like a half day kindergarten program. Part of the full coverage, I'm going to color correct with the Chanel corrector to add coverage and, you know, even out redness. I don't think this is something that a high schooler would do, but in order for me to get more coverage out of stuff, I need to do a little bit of this to get full coverage, because my foundations are like not full coverage to begin with, and like not the kind of foundations that can like build to full coverage. So I'm trying to get as much coverage as I can using what I have. We had bagged milk. I'm very fond of the idea of the bagged milk. Like I remember it fondly, but like there were so many days where you would take your straw, because it came with a straw, and you would like poke it all the way through, and then milk would come out the other side. And that's why whenever we were in kindergarten, they gave us we would get a whole lunch tray in order to drink the milk, because the lunch tray would have like divots in it. So if you did poke it all the way through, the milk would just like drain into the divots of the tray. Mexican pizza was one of my favorite things. I don't know if, so like the Mexican pizza I'm talking about, it wasn't really good, but it was like good for school. I'm going to be using the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation. It wasn't like, I don't think it was like really good, but it was like good for high school. Like, I don't know, good for elementary school, good for all the other options. I mean, I couldn't go wrong with a chicken patty, you know, very much my speed. I'm also going to mix some of this is where we're bringing some life into the skin, the Glow Lust in Morganite. Kind of did like a third of a pump. I didn't want to do a whole pump. The Morganite also will add a little bit of coverage to the Chantecaille, which is like not a super full coverage foundation. It also will turn it just like a little bit yellow, but the undertones of the Chantecaille like aren't very good as it is. But the Mexican pizzas, they were like octagonal. I don't know what was on them. Like honestly, all of the food was like kind of questionable at best. When I think back on it. But yeah, like it was like octagonal, had the shape of an octagon. Get it together, Tom. I remember it being very good. When I got to high school, we did have like a fry station where they would do like fried chicken patties, French fries, and that was something you could get every day, and it was like a la carte. So I would do a lot of that in high school. Well, honestly, I mostly brought my lunch, or when I say I bring my lunch, is I would not eat at lunchtime because, you know, body dysmorphia started real young for me. Like, I was someone who was in Weight Watchers when I was, I think, too young to be in Weight Watchers. But that is a topic for us to unpack another time, but it is like a reality. So, like, I would, like, take a lunch and then I wouldn't eat it. And then people would be like, why aren't you eating lunch? And I'd be like, I'm skinny. I'm trying to be. Wow, this looks really light on me. We are going to do concealer, which I almost forgot about, which is fairly common for me. I'm going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm picking this because I feel like this is something that's like been around long enough where it's just like, oh, of course, like everyone would know about the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. So like also, so would I. Now, in my era, like I think most people who are wearing makeup, it was a lot of MAC, but I don't own a lot of MAC. I have a little bit of MAC. Maybe we can do a MAC lippy. My makeup is looking a little heavy. I think that's okay for what we're doing. And I guess like the amount of product that I do have on my face already, but hopefully we can pull it back down with some like powder, pull it in, rein it in. I am gonna cream contour as well, but I'm also gonna use powder contour because again, I do want my skin to like lean a little bit more matte than I'm usually into. And also we're almost touching the side here, which is like my first goal now that I've hit the bottom of the pan is like, I want to hit that corner and then I'm going to work my way around. I don't know about you. I didn't have any like formative teachers whenever I was in high school. Like I'm sure I liked some of them. Like there was definitely, I worked at the grocery store. Like I worked at a grocery store. And so like the one teacher I had for English, she was like at the grocery store a lot. So like I saw her a lot, but like, did we have a kinship? And I think she liked me, but I think that was kind of like the general mood was like, the teachers liked me because I was quiet, but also would complain about me being quiet and like, but also appreciated that I would like do my work, but also, and I wasn't fussy, but like also just like, there were so many layers, right? Like you had to be personable, all these things in high school. And it's like, I'm certainly not gonna do that. My favorite classes were math, but that's because I didn't have to try very hard in them. And I know that math is much like me with science. Me is to science is what many people are to math because it's like a hard subject for a lot of people. Math I took really well to, and I don't know if it's because my mom's an engineer and like her mind is suited for that, and I just kind of like inherited the gift of being able to understand math. But I think the thing I liked about math, at least whenever they were teaching it, I know that math is taught a little bit differently with like Common Core math, and I really don't know what that means, but I've heard about it. And I think what's good about Common Core math and why it's probably good that it's like really different from the way I learned math is that a lot of people don't understand math. And I think that Common Core tries to break it down for people in such a way that it is like easier for them to understand. I was really good at being like, this is the way you do it and that's the process and that's how you do it. And I think that was what a lot of people didn't like about math is that it was so structured and you had to like do it that way or you were like shit out of luck. And a lot of people couldn't take that on. I'm going to powder with the Pat McGrath setting powder. I don't have a pressed powder. Well, I'm going to use the Chantecaille as well. That's my like upgraded version. But like, I feel like most girls, whenever I was in high school, I mean, I can't think of any guys wearing makeup whenever I was in high school. So I'm not trying to be like gender exclusive when I say that. I'm just thinking about my personal experience. But like, everyone had like a pressed powder and it was like a pressed foundation. And I don't own any pressed foundations. I know a lot of people like powder foundation. Every time I've tried a powder foundation, it's just kind of like led to my skin looking really weird. And my skin should be, ultimately better suited for it because my skin is oily. Who knows? I am gonna also top that with the Chantecaille. I also kind of liked English, but I hated writing papers. Sort of. The thing was, I think they need to loosen up on what books you're reading in high school. And the reason I think that is because I found a lot of it unapproachable. And I realized like you're supposed to like learn the lessons from the book, right? Like we all read The Great Gatsby in high school and it's like we've said the word like the nouveau riche like a million times because it's like that's the theme and we all know about like the light on the other side of the body of water. I like really don't remember all of it, but I was so disinterested in the reading at hand. I thought I was gonna really enjoy 1984 and I remember thinking that it was really boring. And I think it's a problem because, me trying to solve a well-known problem that no one knows how to solve. And I'm just like, just let them read what they want. I mean, I guess they had to do it within reason, right? But like, my thing is just like, if you're starting baseline with books that have concepts that I'm not very interested in, like, how do you expect me to be interested in it? And like, why? So I think that's why a lot of people end up not interested in reading because it's like, you go through high school and you're like forced to read these texts. And like, whether you do or not, I mean, like, that's like kind of on you. But like, you're forced to read these texts that like might not interest you, but it's like there's so much literature out there that there's definitely going to be something that's like worthwhile in an academic setting, but also worthwhile for you to get something out of. Our school did the thing where like you could take like honor, like we had honors, intermediate, and like basic for I think all of our classes. Like you could take options. Well, English specifically, I always took the middle English because I was like, I'm smart enough to do this, but I'm not I don't want to be committed to harder work. Also, I really don't remember why this happened, but my senior year of high school, I had to take English 11 and 12. And that's because I was in cyber school, but I messed up my Englishes when I was in cyber school. I think that's what happened. I was in online school before it was required. Back in my day, I opted into that. Man, I know a lot of people don't like online school. Again, I also understand that if you're talking like in a college setting, it's like you're paying for a thing and like you're not getting that. But like I really thrived on online school. I did go back to regular high school my senior year so I could graduate with real people, because I didn't like befriend anyone when I was in online school. And that's why my mom made me do social activities on the weekend, which I hated. I'm going to be using the Rosebud blush from KVD. I'm mostly using it because this is like the aesthetic of goth, right? Like in KVD beauty historically used to, you know, lend itself to this clientele kind of heavily. So I'm just going to apply that. I'm going to do my preferred blush placement, but this would not be like the blush placement of someone in the 80s or in the early 2000s. I'm also going to keep the blush a little bit light because I'm going more from like an early 2000s perspective on the makeup, even though like the movie we're thinking of is like an 80s specific movie. I'm just like taking the concept and like turning it into what makes most sense for me. Basically, I'm just kind of doing a fierce goth look with some adjustments. Like we're using so much powder, which isn't really like me. I feel like I shouldn't put highlighter on because that doesn't feel like something a goth girly would do. But do I? Should I? I'm gonna put a little bit of this milk highlighter on. I'm not gonna do like a streak, which is like what I want to do, because that's obviously, we didn't really have like highlight was like certainly not a thing when I was like in high school. I wonder if Stephanie's gonna go full 80s or if she's gonna adapt it. I also just feel like goth blush isn't like heavily a goth thing. That's why I didn't put that much on. And like certainly, I mean, now it's like different, right? I don't know. I feel like I came from growing up at such a high school of like an era of like posers, that kind of thing, like very heavily like if you weren't doing it right, then you just weren't doing it and you weren't actually the thing that you were like pretending to be, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm also gonna throw some black on the lower as a drop shadow. That feels right because we're gonna close off the eye as much as we possibly can, because that is certainly what people would do when I was in high school, especially the people who were like alternative. I'm also realizing in this moment that my brushes absolutely desperately need to be cleaned. I don't know if you're like this, but like to me, it's one of those things where like my brushes seem fine, and then all of a sudden, all at once, it's like, you need to clean me yesterday. You need to clean me. Like it's not acceptable anymore. You like literally need to clean me like right now. Oh, there we go. There we go. It was looking too modern. It was. But now we've closed off those eyeballs. It's now giving. Do any of you have a Sigma switch? If you do, how do you get the sparkles out of it? Because what happens is I wash it, but then the sparkles are still stuck to the silicone. It's not like glitter, it's like mica particles, you know? And for some reason, they just will not go. I don't know if there's a trick of the trade or if there's something I don't understand, but if you do, let me know. I am going to spray my face to bring a little bit of life back to what feels like very dead skin to me. Like this is pretty dull skin in my, I mean, if you've been here for any amount of time, you know that I like to essentially be a mirror. I would like for you to see your face in my face. Like I reflect that back. That's what I like. So I'm going to do a little bit of Fix Plus. I'm going to try not to spray too much, but we both know that I'm not really that capable. My face certainly ate that. It was like, please give us some moisture back. But we're still really full coverage. Also, how did that happen? Where along the line? I didn't even use bronzer today. Just use contour. I feel like I'm giving very like Lydia from Beetlejuice vibes. Is that her name? Lydia? I feel like that's her name, and I feel like that's the energy that I'm bringing to the table. Okay, I'm gonna throw on my lashes, meaning I'm gonna put on mascara. Mascara's on, and you know I'm gonna do a black lip. You know I'm gonna do it to them. You know I'm going to. This is one of the Sinister Satins from Black Moon's Cosmetic. This is the shade Omen. Do I look like I'm a high schooler? I would like for you to actually not answer that. Goth but gay. It's giving goth girl. All right, let me slip into something a little more breakfast clubby. All right, so I'm all dressed up. Before I show you the outfit, I do want to talk about what fragrance I think I would wear. When I think of high schoolers, I don't think that, like, I don't know. I can't recall anyone being like super into fragrance. And I feel like even the goth girls smelled incredibly sweet. Like everything was so sweet because it was like a lot of Victoria's Secret. And you know, like even the goth girls secretly shopped at Victoria's Secret because they wanted to be sexy. They wanted to buy the bras from Victoria's Secret, which is like absolutely okay. I cannot breathe in the garment that I'm currently wearing. I picked Marc Jacobs Perfect because it's just like very playful and fruity. And it has a little bit like of an adolescent feeling to it. And I think that would be like what I would wear if I was going to Saturday detention to impress maybe another boy. Or like, I guess like in the Breakfast Club, they start out like all hating each other because they're so different. But like, this is really giving the vibes. Let me show you this outfit. Now this mini skirt, it kind of passes like the finger length test, but not really, which is like fun. That's fun. But like I have Doc Martens on because like, of course, and like, I know that like they're hot pink, but I feel like hot pink was always accepted by the goths if it was used as an accent color. Now, I went maybe like a little bit more slutty goth with my interpretation. I don't own any trip pants, but I do own black pleather mini skirts. And this one was a little more presentable than the other one I have is because the other one's very wrinkly. If anyone knows how to get wrinkles out of pleather, would love to know. But what I really love is that like it makes my legs look so incredibly long. Like look at me. I just legs. And then the top, like it's like strappy. I feel like maybe I have like a little bit of too much silhouette, but I like it. I don't know. This is what I would wear to Saturday detention if I was at the Breakfast Club. The silhouette's right. I'm like, do my butt cheeks come out? Okay, like I could see me like, you know, running to sneak past the principal's office. So I really would love to hear about your high school experience down in the comments. Let me know whatever you want to know. Did you ever get into trouble? Did you ever have Saturday detention? I really want to know. Did anyone have, like to me it sounds like such a fictional concept. Like I know that people got it. Like I just like never had it. I really want to take the time to thank Stephanie for collaborating with me. I cannot wait to see what she came up with for this collaboration. I'm really feeling myself. I might just wear this the rest of the day. I won't, but like, I thought about it. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I'm going to link Stephanie's video down in the description box below, and I will link it at the end here so you can just click on it at the very end. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. And remember to follow your haute, and you will find me. I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Forever.